Somehow, in the course of time, the daring part of it got lost. It became timid. I came to HP because I have a passion for this company and this business. We negotiated this merger because it is what's necessary to keep the company vibrant and leading. The directors in the room agreed with every word of her message. They had recruited her 3 years earlier, believing she was their best hope of reviving a proud, aging company. The only director who opposed her, Walter Hewlett, hadn't been invited to this meeting, and now Fiorina was ready to address failure the way she wanted. If her opponents blocked the merger and squeezed her out, she warned, this company will not dare again, and that would be a tragedy. Could she stay in office if she lost the merger vote? Fiorina portrayed grave dangers. Dissenters' attacks against her were likely to turn even nastier. Employee morale would be in tatters. If I lose, she said, I will be a damaged, even more controversial CEO. Do you understand what that means? She looked all around the long table. You must now talk about what happens if we lose. With that, Fiorina stepped out of the room. For the next 90 minutes, she wanted HP's directors to caucus among themselves. Everyone knew the board faced nerve-wracking questions. Who would run the company? What hope was there of fixing HP's many business challenges without the Compaq merger? Would the company be governable in any form? Or was chaos inevitable? And if so, how long did each director want to stay? Fiorina wanted this to be a raw, painful conversation in which directors faced the apocalypse. Once they had done so, she would rejoin the meeting. Directors could find her in her office just 50 feet down the hall. The CEO of Hewlett-Packard would be sitting at her desk working. Even that late at night, there was a lot to do. At about 9:30 p.m., Director Jay Keyworth walked over to Fiorina's office. He was the longest-serving member of HP's board and one of the earliest champions of the Compaq deal. We really need you to dig deeper, he said. Come back in. His tone was friendly, almost pleading. They walked down the corridor together, noticing that all the other offices in the executive wing were dark. Everyone else had gone home. This was the last piece of business for the night. Once Fiorina sat down, the directors went around the room, telling her one by one what they thought. The first to speak was Phil Condit, the gruff, heavyset CEO of Boeing. He had become a strong advocate of the merger, but he also treated Fiorina with the greatest personal reserve. Other directors often greeted her with a hug. He never did. This time, though, he spoke to her as a friend. We believe very strongly that this company has a very important future, Condit said. We believe you're the right person to carry this company forward. I'm here because of you. If you're not on this board, I'm not staying. In rapid succession, the other 5 directors echoed his remarks. We didn't hire you to do the merger, Keyworth said. We hired you to fix the company. Each director vowed to keep Fiorina as chief executive no matter what. She thanked each board member by name for his or her support. She said it meant an enormous amount to her. But she didn't fully accept the offer to stay on as CEO, and she quickly pushed the conversation on to the hardest topics. If we lose, we cannot retreat, she said. We have to think about what we can do next. Are you ready for that? For the next few minutes, directors talked about the company's strategic direction if it couldn't buy Compaq. Former HP chairman Dick Hackborn, the director widely regarded as the board's wisest strategist, had reluctantly been forming a backup plan. Without the merger, he believed, HP's big computer businesses were in perilous shape. The main hope of preserving overall shareholder value might involve taking HP's renowned printer business and spinning it off as a separate company, safe from whatever turmoil lay ahead for the computer operations. Then the company's leaders would seek the best destiny available for HP's unprofitable personal computer business and its stumbling enterprise computing divisions. That wasn't a pretty path. It might involve enormous layoffs or fire sale divestitures of HP assets, but it was the least dismal of all the alternatives that Hackborn could see. Could employees rally around Fiorina in such circumstances? Things have already got very nasty, and they could potentially get much worse, Fiorina said. Walter Hewlett had been spotted in his late father's old office at HP Labs interviewing employees, which unnerved her greatly. She ticked off a series of other challenges to her authority, which she lumped together as intrusive engagement. If the merger plan failed, Fiorina believed, all those pressures on her would intensify. Yet, as she talked through all the perils, directors kept reassuring her. They believed she could win back the confidence of her employees no matter what. After nearly an hour of dialogue, Fiorina still wasn't ready to commit herself. "We have to be very clear-eyed about what this means," she said. "This isn't about quitting. This is about being realistic. Let's take a night to think about it and regroup in the morning." Directors filed out of the headquarters building, heading either to a local hotel or to their homes if they lived nearby. On the way out, HP Director Bob Knowling puzzled over Fiorina's response. He had jousted with her for many years, going back to the days when both of them were rising young talents at AT&T. He hadn't ever seen her be indecisive about anything. Carly always knows what she wants, he told himself. And so, Knowling began to wonder, was Fiorina holding out for something? Was there one more thing she wanted from the board before she would agree to stay? At first, Knowling thought Fiorina might want more money, or better severance terms if she ultimately were squeezed out. That didn't seem in keeping with her usual concerns, but CEOs were known to fixate on such things. He asked fellow director Sam Ginn, who had deep insight into boardroom pay discussions, but Ginn assured him that pay wasn't at issue. So Knowling pondered further. "There's something she wants to bargain for," he told himself. "I don't know what the hell it is." The next morning, Knowling got his answer. Fiorina was ready to fight harder than ever, but only if she could be surrounded by directors who shared every aspect of her agenda. "It's time to make a break," she said. If the board really wanted Carly Fiorina to stay, Walter Hewlett had to go. Chapter 1. The Best Outfit on Earth. Nighttime had come. The clatter of screwdrivers at Hewlett-Packard's engineering lab had stopped. The slide rules were tucked away. The barn-like building was utterly deserted, except for one tall man in his late 40s. He walked through the facility with authority, as if he owned the place. Moving from bench to bench, he stopped every now and then to examine the engineer's handicraft. Sometimes he would pick up a half-built instrument and hold it in his hands, the fierce hands of a former lineman on the Stanford football team. At 8 a.m. the next day, a cheery, drawn-out chime announced the start of the workday at Hewlett-Packard's Palo Alto, California headquarters. It was 1957, and HP was just a small company in the outer suburbs of San Francisco. It would be years before anyone started calling this area Silicon Valley. But the 60 HP engineers heading toward their workbenches regarded themselves as something special. Their head of research, former Bell Labs scientist Barney Oliver, described his men as a proud, enthusiastic bunch who really believed they were part of the best outfit on Earth. Eric Hammerquist was one of Hewlett-Packard's newer hires, and he liked the place a lot. He was in his mid-20s, with an engineering degree from the University of Washington. His prototype of a new oscilloscope had just passed its internal lab inspections, including a shake-and-brake test meant to ensure that the machine was strong enough for industrial use. Hammerquist had gambled a bit on that one, using thinner 16-gauge aluminum for the outside casing to trim weight, instead of the standard 14-gauge metal. But he believed his gamble had worked. As soon as Hammerquist got to his bench that morning, his jaw dropped. His oscilloscope was ruined. Someone had grabbed the casing and twisted it violently out of shape, leaving the pretzel-shaped wreckage in the middle of his workbench. The young engineer was furious. Some vandal has broken in and ruined everything, he thought. Then he noticed a scrap of paper attached to the twisted metal. On it was an 8-word note. "You can do better than this, Dave Packard." Within minutes, a new legend was born. Engineers crowded around Hammerquist's workbench to marvel at the